Moores was slapped with a lawsuit, and they were sued. And I warned everyone back in 2020, and this lawsuit happened in 2021, but I warned everyone back in 2020 that if you're doing it, stop. If you're thinking about getting into it, don't. And just stay away from it because it's illegal. Welcome to another episode of Becoming with Angelina Watkins, and I'm your host, Angelina, your queen of becoming, and I am here to help my sophisticated professionals and my first-time entrepreneurs achieve emotional, spiritual, and financial prosperity. This episode is brought to you by Path to Prosperity, the 17 secrets to building wealth that you can start today. Now, this book is jam-packed with tips and strategies to help you build wealth even when you don't come from wealth, okay? It has all the wealth building strategies on how to build passive income, how to protect your economic value, how to build generational wealth. So I want you to go ahead and check out the link that's in the description and check out the book that's on pre-sale. All right, we do have a discount for you for the pre-sale orders before the book launches at the beginning of March. Now, this episode, we're going to talk about the 5 questions you should be asking before you invest. Now, about 2.5 years ago in 2020, I did a podcast episode on the susu is a no-no. And I was talking all about what we call the susu. Some of you may know it by the Blessing Loom, or the commitment circle, the friends and family gifting program, or the gifting circle. It's been called so many different things and packaged up in so many different ways. But it's all a Ponzi scheme, okay? And in this day and time, we get so caught up in these Ponzi schemes, these pyramid schemes, that are scams. We got people scamming us by the phone, hackers hacking into our phones and into our computers and getting our information. We got people stealing identities, and we get caught up in handing over our money when we should not knowing that we are being scammed. And so I saw an episode of American Greed, you guys, on CNBC. I don't know if you ever watched that, go check it out, but there's a show on CNBC called American Greed. And I was watching it the other night, and it was an episode about Lashonda and Marlon Moore, who had appeared on Family and Fiance on the OWN channel, who were ministers. And they had started what we call the Blessing Loom. And they had gotten their parishioners to invest into this Blessing Loom. And they eventually were slapped with a lawsuit. And in my podcast episode back in 2020, I was warning people about this very particular scam. It's a pyramid scam where you have to give money, and they call it an investment, and you invest money, and then you have to recruit 2 people. And then those 2 people will then give money, and they recruit 2 people. And it just keeps happening until you're at the top of the pyramid. And then eventually, by the time you get at least 8 people invested into this circle, you would get that pot of money. Well, everyone has to keep recruiting in order for people to get to the top of the pyramid and get their money. So what happens when you don't recruit? What happens when someone doesn't pay their money? What happens when you don't continue to get those people at the bottom of that pyramid to invest into this circle? What's going to happen is somebody's not going to get paid. And so then people are going to want their money back. And do you have the means to give them their money back? And that's what the Moores found themselves in that situation, to where we are having people invest into this circle, and we're promising them a substantial amount of money in return for their investment that they may not get. And people were not getting their money, and they were getting upset. And so the Moores was slapped with a lawsuit, and they were sued. And I warned everyone back in 2020, and this lawsuit happened in 2021, but I warned everyone back in 2020 that if you're doing it, stop. If you're thinking about getting into it, don't. And just stay away from it because it's illegal. these pyramid schemes and scams that go on, they are illegal. And some folks didn't want to believe me, but here we are. The warning came true for those who just kept getting involved. And it was kind of weird because it seemed like it was, in the uh, circling a lot within the black church. And I just don't know why they were targeted, but the pandemic was a good time to do it. And the pandemic was a good time to start up the scam because people are desperate. People were desperate for money. They were losing their jobs and they didn't have any money to pay rent and barely had money to buy food. We're standing in the unemployment line trying to wait to get unemployment. Some people were fortunate to be able to be laid off, but then have what do you call that? The package that you get when they lay you off. I can't think of it right now, but not everyone was as fortunate to have a severance package. That's what it's called. And so I thought about, when I was watching Greed, I thought about it of how we get caught up in these scams and these schemes, and people scam us out of our money. And so today I want to get into talking about the 5 questions that you should be asking yourself before you invest your money, before you send that cash app, before you write that check, before you swipe that credit card, before you input those numbers on your phone, before you go to that ATM. These are the questions you should be asking yourself before you say yes to that investment. Now, before I get into that, I want to make sure that I tell you all, because I forgot to welcome my newcomers. Thank you for joining the podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, you all, and that notification bell so you don't miss another episode, okay? Make sure you do that. Now, let's get into it. 5 questions you should ask yourself before you invest. Now, the first one is, can I afford to lose my money? What you have to know is that when it comes to investing, there's always a risk. There may be a low risk, there may be a medium conservative risk, and there may be a high risk, but there's going to be some kind of risk to losing your money. Now, when we get into investing and we're thinking about those medium and high risks, or something where someone is coming to you and saying, hey, I want you to invest in my business. Hey, I want you to invest in this Blessing Loom or commitment circle, whatever it may be. You got to ask yourself, the money that they're asking me for, although it may not seem like a lot, can I risk losing that? Because we don't have time to be taking our mortgage money and putting it into investments that we don't know anything about. We don't have time to be taking our car note money and putting that in investments that we don't know anything about. Okay? We ain't got time to be taking our children's pamper money and investing in things that we don't know anything about. Can you afford to lose the investment? Now, one thing that I always remember, and it makes me think of this when I say that, can you afford to lose it? It's something I heard Steve Harvey say one time about people borrowing money. I think it was Steve Harvey. That he said something along the lines of that if you're going to need it back, maybe it was my pop who said that. If you're going to need that money back, then don't loan it out. Same thing for investing. If you're going to need that money back immediately, and you want to risk not being able to get it, then don't make the investment. Okay. Number 2, is the investment regulated? Okay. We have the federal government, the SEC, the FINRA, and FDIC, and all these different things that regulate, or all these different state government agencies that regulate investments. Is this investment regulated? Even private placements, investments are regulated. Now, they may not have to register like some of these companies do when you do private placement or private investments, but you still got to ask yourself, is it regulated? That Blessing Loom, that's not has no regulations. That's just something somebody made up of an investment circle. And even when you create like investment partnerships or investment associations or investment clubs, even those are regulated. You still have laws governing what you're doing within these clubs when you create investment clubs. Okay, so is it regulated? You want to make sure that it's regulated. Number three, are you protected if that business or that advisor goes out of business? Is your investment still protected? If you have an advisor and you go and you buy some stocks, well, even if that advisor decides to stop being an advisor, you don't lose your stocks. Or if they decide that they're not going to sell insurance anymore, you're not going to lose your insurance policy. You want to make sure that whatever the investment is, if that person that you made the investment through disappears, is your money going to disappear? Okay. Number four, can you easily get your money back? Can you go to the bank and withdraw that money? Can you go to the investment firm and cash in your stocks? Can you go back to the government and sell back your bond to them? Can you easily get your money back from the investment? If you cannot, you have to think about, is this a good investment for me? Okay. Now, number five, are they making any guarantees? If they're making any guarantees to you, run. Okay, because we have to know that investments, there are no guarantees. Remember, there's always risk. Whether it's low risk, medium risk, high risk, there's always some type of risk. Now, if it's low risk, that just means that the likelihood of you losing your money is very unlikely. And if you did, maybe it's just a little bit. But there's no guarantee. There's never any guarantee. And anyone tells you that I guarantee a certain percentage return, unless it's like an insurance policy or a annuity of some sort where you have a fixed interest rate that's guaranteed through the insurance company, okay, then that's a guaranteed return on your investment. But anything outside of that, when they want to tell you that they guarantee you're going to get a 30% return, I guarantee you're going to 10x your money, don't believe it. It's just not true. No investment is a guarantee. Real estate investments are not a guarantee. Stock investments are not a guarantee. Investments in a business is not a guarantee. Nothing is ever a guarantee. Okay? Now, I've got a bonus for you. This bonus tip of the question you should ask yourself before you invest is, what is my financial goal? What am I trying to achieve? A lot of times we make decisions out of our emotions. We make decisions out of desperation and fear. And we're not considering where we want to be. We're only considering where we are right now. And sometimes we got to stop and ask ourselves, does this investment or does this move with my money have anything to do with my financial goals and where I'm trying to get to and where I want to be? Because if my goal is to start a business, and you come to me and want me to invest over here in something, I'm going to be like, well, no, because I need that money to invest in my business over here. But because this sounded so good, it sounded so right, and I'm going to get this large return, and I'm going to 10x my money, and in 30 days, I'm going to get back more than what I put in. So we're going to want to go over there. But that's why we got to set goals, and that's why we got to know where we're going, or financial goals, and know what we're doing and where we're going, so that we can, that plan will help us stick to the goal and not vary from the script and put our money in places where they don't belong. All right? Those are the 5 questions that you need to be asking yourself before you invest, okay? Make sure in that you have a good financial advisor, someone who is advising you on how to invest your money. And again, if you want to build wealth, and before you make any decisions on how to create the passive income and what insurance you need to buy and the generational wealth that you want to build for your family, make sure that you get the Path to Prosperity, 17 Secrets to Building Wealth that you can start today. That's going to be your first step in learning about building wealth, okay? And making sure that you pick the right advice. Now, where you are is not where you have to be. Your past does not define you. You define you. So heal, transform, and pursue you.